Another Criminal Minds character is Penelope Garcia. She was born somewhere in January of 1979 in San Francisco, California, with 4 stepbrothers. When to a stepfather, I think. I'm pretty sure. But when she was 18, she got into some trouble. And this was in the middle of the night. She got into some trouble. Her parents were on their way to pick her up from the police station, where they unfortunately got hit by a drunk driver. And so Penelope Garcia then goes most of her life then on blaming herself for their death, since they were on their way to go get her. But she was already a troubled kid, but then after that, she's obviously got this trauma to deal with and this guilt. So something to do with her time, to distract her, she ends up hacking. She ends up getting into hacking, and she becomes like one of the best hackers in the world, where she's put on the list for FBI's most dangerous hackers. And later on, she's then caught doing like illegal things, hacking into high government places that she shouldn't be able to get into, where she's then recruited by the FBI, where it's either you take this job as a technical analyst for the behavioral analysis unit, or you go to prison because you got into these places where you shouldn't be able to get into. And that's her origin of her job at the VAU. And then a couple seasons in, I think it's season 4, she's at a coffee shop and she's about to leave when this customer is having trouble with his laptop. And so, since she's really good with computers, she steps in and helps him out. He asks her on a date. Her and Derek Morgan, they have a very close relationship, a very platonic soulmates, if you will. They call each other nicknames. It's a very flirty friendship, with him calling her baby girl, her calling him Chocolate Thunder. And so when she tells Derek about this, there's a little dispute that episode, because she's never been asked on a date before, since she's not what you would call conventionally attractive at the time. Whereas he was getting all these dates with all these women. And this was probably her first date. So, but by the end of the episode, she ends up going on the date with this man. And by the end of the date, when he is walking her to the steps of her apartment and he's about to leave, he turns back to her and he says, "I've been thinking about doing this all night," and without knowing what's going on, you think he's going to kiss her, since we don't know who he is. Only for him to pull out a gun and shoot her in the chest. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. I'm going to leave that in. Happy laughed. Okay. She doesn't die, but she gets taken to the hospital, and then while she's recovering at home, they do an investigation on this guy just to find out that he is a police officer who was involved with a couple crimes, and he was first at the scene. And we only know this because she has this support group that she goes to for families of victims to help them heal, since she is that kind of person. She's a very nice person, very sweet. So to do what she can at the FBI, she finds those case files and she flags them so that the police stations in charge of those cases know that the FBI has them flagged, hoping that having them flagged will get them to work on the case, to solve it, to bring closure for these families. But most of these cases, what they have in common is said police officer who was first at the scene, and so he thought that they were onto him, so he shot Penelope Garcia. Thankfully, she did survive, and it's where she then met her boyfriend, Kevin Lynch, since he was also a technical analyst who was helping do the investigation at the FBI building, but while she was at home, they end up communicating through hacking each other's computers. And they have a relationship for a couple of years, only to then eventually break up because they ended up wanting different things. And then there was also... But then she doesn't end up leaving. She leaves at the end of Criminal Minds, and she's doing fine. But then when the show is brought back in Criminal Minds Evolution, she comes back again as Penelope Garcia. So she's still working at the FBI in the show.